But we're going to look at text again as now, and again, I'm starting from a blank piece of paper, nothing prepared. Text can only be applied through a sketch. If we we're in one there. Let's go into solid. In solid, there we don't have a text option down here, so you have to sketch the text first. I suppose there's two ways of doing text, and I'm only going to cover the one way tonight. But briefly, you can either put text in through the text command, or you could import an SVG file and use an emboss command, which was the command that Mal showed us last week, I think it was. And that is something that we may look at later in the month when we get to it. So I'm looking at text on Sketch. So we go into a sketch, and I'm just going to show basic text at the moment, not necessarily with an object in. So the text command now is in the create button, and we come down to text there. Now the first thing it wants us to do is to draw a bounding box, and we can change the size of it after anyway. Now when we've got our box and we left click, that fixes the box, and then we get the text box coming up. Now, sample text is what it fills in. So what we're going to do, we're going to put in there, say, Fusion 360. Okay. Now we have a number of options here. We can change the font, and the font, as far as I can see, basically pulls up any font that you've got on your computer. It takes a long time on mine because I got quite a few hundred fonts. But you can choose whatever font you want. Just bear in mind that a font like that one there of Apple Chancery is going to be difficult to print on a filament printer. So if you're doing font work, bear in mind that you're going to print this, and therefore that will dictate maybe what font you use and a few other things like size. So we're going to stick with Arial for now. Then we can change the height of the font. Now it's in millimeters. Now in millimeters, that is the bottom to the top. It's not the size of the font, which is what we're used to. So it's the size of the total font. So if you've got a G sticking down, then it's from the bottom of the G to the top of the L, etc. So we'll just change that to 15. And then when we move off that box, it changes to 15. The character spacing, I'll just go back to 10 for a moment so I can show you the next box. Now character spacing allows us to space the character. We've got a little box there on the side that does nothing, so don't worry about it. What we can do there is we can put a spacing, say, of 2 in. And you can see you can increase the spacing between the characters. The other way, of course, if you want a bigger space between the N and the 3, then just move your cursor back up there and put some spaces in. Down here you have an option here for horizontal, to flip it, and that one there is the vertical flip. You don't need it in a box, but you'll need it when I show you something else in a moment. And then you've got an alignment. You've got left alignment, center alignment, and right alignment, and that's the alignment in the box that you've drawn. In the same underneath, you've got align top, align middle, or align bottom. Okay? So that basically is drawing text in that sense. We'll go on to what we do with it in a moment, because what I want to show you now is drawing text on a curve. So let's we'll put a circle in for this purpose. It really doesn't matter what we want, but it's a curve. Now, when you're drawing it on a curve, if you don't want the curve, if you're not going to use the curve as a template for extrusion, then use a construction line instead. So if you only want the curve to be the form that the text makes, construction, and then you haven't got to worry about an actual sketch line getting in the way anywhere. So now we go back up to create, on the font, and this time you can see over here text or text on path. So we click on that one, and then we go down and pick the path that we want there, and up pops our box again. Now you've got the same situation here again. You can choose a different path if you want to, cancel that and choose another path. You've got the fonts, you've got the bold italics, you've got the size, you've got the character spacing, and you've got the flipping commands and the alignment commands. You don't have a center alignment command because you're not in a box, but you do have these two. Now the trouble on circles and curves, it can sometimes put it where you don't want it. So let's try and get this into some things. So if we flip it first, and then we can go there. Now we can drag that around in our finish thing, or you can drag it round at this with move and copy command. Or the other way round in a sense is you can cheat and do what I do and just put spaces in. But you can use the copy command if you want to, which I'll show you now anyway, just to complete the picture. So let's go back to where we are. Now the other one is this command you have placement. That's on top of the line or inside the line. So let's stick with those two for the moment. Now we want to alter that one, so what we can do in that is highlight that, and we go into the modify command, which will be modify, where is it, move there, and all we want to do is spin it round. So it's already on the center, so all we can do is spin it round to where we want it. Okay, so that's putting the actual text on. So let's go now into our drawing and see what we can do with it. Let's look at this one first. So on this one, we can extrude it by highlighting it and use the extrude command. When I'm doing something like this, I tend to work that way so I can see what I'm extruding. And you can pull it out. And there's our text. If the blue's annoying you, just switch off the sketches. There's our text on its own. Now, what I want to do is to show you some text on a surface as well. So what we're going to do is let's do the circle one first, though, just so you can see that one as well. And again, on that one, highlight it, text it, and pull it out. Now, when you pull it out, and I don't know if it'll work that well on this, is that we've also got a command now up here. Let's get rid of the sketch so we can see it a bit clearer. In the box now we got the profile plane, which is what it starts on, and that was the bottom plane which we pulled out from. The direction is one side or symmetrical, where we can go, you can see now it's doubled it, so it's gone either side of the sketch. Let's put the sketch back in, and as you can see the sketch in the middle, we've gone either side of it. We've also got a command, let's just go one way. We've also got this little one up here, look, which we've come across with extrude before, the thin extrude. And we can click on the thin extrude, and it might take a while it calculates it, and it's going to take forever, which I shouldn't have done it. Now, it's gone screwy because of my wall thickness. Let me take the wall thickness down to 0.1, which should bring it back in. So you can see now what we've got, look. It's the thin extrude. Now you can see, and I won't go into great detail, but you can imagine that if you've got a wall thickness that is thicker than the letters themselves, then obviously it's not going to work. So you might have to play about with that. You can also do a taper angle. So if we had the normal extrude, you can actually put a slight taper angle on. I've never used it. It's the same taper as we would use with anything else. And again, if you put a silly angle on there, let's say 4 degrees, and you can see you will start to lose text because you can see the way it's tapering. Again, when you're using a taper angle, if the text is too close together, the geometries don't always work. It's not something I use, to be honest with you, but there's no reason. But you would have to play with it. For large text, it's easy. When you start using small text close together, the geometry goes haywire. What I want to do now, having done that quite quickly, and conscious of the time, is just quickly show you putting that on a box. So we'll go back now and we'll do a quick box or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter, but we're going to just do a simple box for now on there like so. And I'm going to extrude it out like so. And we want to put something on this box, okay? So we're going to sketch, and we're going to sketch on the box. And we're going to create, and we're going to create text. And I'll just do a square one for the moment, but it's exactly the same with the circular one. Hit on that box for plane, that's the on path. I'm going to do plane, and then we draw the box where we want it, so we'll put it in there. And then we'll again put fusion in there on its own, and we'll flip it, and we'll put it in the center, and let's make it a lot bigger. Let's make it 30, and then finish. And it's on there. Now what we can do is to use the extrude command, and we can highlight the text, and we can either extrude it in. Whoops, I've highlighted both of them. Let's do that again. We can push it in so it cuts, or we can pull it out so we've got it coming out like so. Let's turn the sketch off, get rid of the blue, and you can go all the way through if you want to.